U.S. President Donald Trump was vacationing at his golf course in Bedminster, New Jersey, when a Russian military surveillance plane flew over in August 2017. The flight was allowed under the Treaty on Open Skies. It's the latest agreement with Moscow that the United States might pull out of. So what is it? First proposed by U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1955, the treaty wasn't signed until the end of the Cold War in 1992 and came into effect in 2002. It allows 34 countries to conduct surveillance flights over each other's territory, monitoring force concentrations and military activities. Each member country must open its entire territory for observation. Why does it matter? Well, the treaty is part of the post-Cold War system of arms control and disarmament. Most signatories don't have the satellite capabilities necessary for surveillance without access to airspace. That's why one of the treaty's key points is information sharing. Any party can request access to data gathered under the treaty. This open access to airspace and data contributes to transparency around the military activities of member countries. The treaty also produces unclassified imagery that can be used in international settings. The United States has used Open Skies imagery in talks with Russia about the conflict in Ukraine. And countries that have observation satellites can still benefit from Open Skies data. According to the U.S. State Department, there are, quote, significant parts of Russia best imaged by treaty aircraft. How does it work? Well, each country is assigned a quota of observation flights that it is obliged to allow each year. The United States, plus Russia and Belarus, which are treated as one territory by the treaty, have quotas of 42 flights each. Each country is allowed to fly the same number of surveillance missions abroad as it has to accept over its own territory. Between 2002 and 2016, the United States carried out 196 flights over Russia. Russia flew over U.S. territory 71 times in the same period. The flights are conducted using special planes fitted with sensors allowed by the treaty. These are panoramic and framing cameras, infrared sensors for nighttime capability, and synthetic aperture radar used to create 3D models. Cameras are limited to a ground resolution of 30 centimeters, enough to distinguish between a tank and a truck. This is similar to commercial satellite imagery from services like Google Earth. So why is the United States thinking of leaving? President Trump signed a document signaling his administration's intent to withdraw from the treaty in October, although it's not a sure thing. One concern is Russia's use of digital sensors. It became the first country to install them on the Tupolev 154s it uses for Open Skies missions. Although the sensors are certified in accordance with the treaty, some officials have raised concerns that the images gathered could later be digitally enhanced. American Boeing OC-135Bs take photos on film cameras. Russian flight restrictions pose another issue. Flights over Kaliningrad are restricted to a distance of 500 kilometers, and there are altitude restrictions over Moscow. Russia doesn't allow the planes within 10 kilometers of its borders with Georgia's breakaway regions of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. One U.S. senator has called it, quote, the Open Skies over America, Closed Skies over Russia treaty. The United States has restricted Russian flights over Hawaii and Alaska in response. Despite these issues, there is bipartisan support for remaining in the treaty. Former U.S. Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis said that, quote, despite Russia's violations, it is in America's best interest to remain a party to the Open Skies Treaty. Russia says that if the United States does withdraw, it is ready to respond.